Hi, my name is Reverend Dale Brown, and I thank you for watching this brief devotional, and I hope that it centers your and focuses your thoughts on Christ for the day. One of the great missionaries of the last century, a hero of mine, was a man named Frank Laubach. He was born in Benton, Pennsylvania on September 2nd, 1884, and died on June 11th, 1970 in Syracuse, New York. During his lifetime, he attended Columbia University, Princeton University, and Union Theological Seminary in New York. He spent his entire career working with Muslims in remote areas of the Philippines while serving as a congregational Christian missionary. He was known as the Apostles to the Illiterate because Laubach understood, as many do, that illiteracy, lack of educational opportunity, injustice, and poverty were all barriers to peace between peoples and ultimately peace in the world. During his lifetime, he created a literacy program called Each One Teach One. And amazingly, that program has been used to teach about 60 million people to read. And when he came back to the United States later in life, he helped found what was called Laubach Literacy. And for many years, about 150,000 Americans learned to read using his program each year. My favorite devotional book that he wrote is called The Game with Minutes. It's an odd title, but I kind of get the sense of what Laubach is saying here. And what he attempts to do is to help us to have a practical way to be in constant prayer, constant communion with God. The Bible tells us that we should pray continually, pray without ceasing, but that's hard to do and hard to understand. Well, what Laubach asks us to do is to plan, practice, prepare, discipline ourselves so that for at least 1 second of every minute we think about or focus on God. It might be that we're outside walking and we're wondering, how do we focus on God in that sense? Well, when we see the beauty of one of God's trees, we might say, well, God did a great job of creating that tree, or a flower, or a squirrel, or a deer, or a bird. Or if we're sitting and talking to a friend, we might think to ourselves, well, God did a great job in fashioning and creating this beautiful person here in front of me. Or if we do something well, we might say, man, with God's help, that went well. But for 1 second out of every minute, we focus intentionally on God. Now that doesn't seem like a whole lot. It's not. But the key is this: as we turn our attention to God, it becomes easier to practice and discipline ourselves. It becomes easier to choose that not just 1 second, but maybe 10 seconds or 20 seconds or 30 seconds. Laubach never said we had to limit it or limit ourselves to only 1 second. But it takes effort. It takes discipline. It takes practice. It takes changing our focus from all the bad stuff in the world and all the things that go on around us to really saying, yeah, I'm going to pay attention to what Jesus is doing and to who Jesus is and to how I might be in constant contact with him. Laubach was a great, wonderful missionary, a person who was deeply concerned about the poor and the needy, the hurting of our world. And he wanted to do something practical, so teaching people to read opened many doors to them. But the main door he wanted it to open was the chance to read the Bible, to focus on their relationship with Christ, to become followers of Jesus. Because in his thinking, in his theology and beliefs, Christ is the only hope for the world. So I covenant with you today, and I invite you to spend 1 second out of every minute focused entirely on Christ. And who knows? You might like it so much you would do 2 seconds, then 10, then 20, and then maybe an entire lifetime focused on Christ. May God bless you this day and every day.